Hello everyone. Today we will define learners with exceptionalities and distinguish between disability and handicap, and then define and describe the characteristics of each of the following concepts, such as mental retardation, giftedness, physical disabilities, visual disabilities, hearing disabilities, learning disabilities, emotional or behavioral disorders, speech disorders, language disorders, and autism. Hello, I am Maria Teresa S. Manangat. I'm a second year BA Ed student at Paspati Colleges, and I will be discussing learners with exceptionalities. Learners with exceptionalities refers to individuals whose physical, behavioral, or cognitive performance is so different from the norm that additional services are required to meet the individual's needs. Disability and handicap are not interchangeable terms. When we say disability, it refers to functional limitation a person has that interferes with a person's physical or cognitive performance, like ADHD. And when we say handicap, it refers to a limitation imposed upon a person with a disability by society, such as lack of access for people in wheelchairs. What are the characteristics of the learners with exceptionalities? First, we have mental retardation. It refers to substantial limitations in present functioning characterized by significantly sub-average intellectual performance and limitations in a number, for example, two or more, of adaptive living skills such as home living or social skills. Giftedness. Gifted children possesses demonstrated or potential abilities that give evidence of high performance capabilities in areas such as intellectual, creative, academic, or leadership ability, or visual or performing art. For that reason, these children require activities or services not provided ordinarily by schools. Gifted and talented children tend to be highly motivated, learn to read early, and perform well academically. Physical disabilities. This can include any number of disabilities such as orthopedic impairments, example clubfoot or cerebral palsy, or other health impairments like asthma, hemophilia, or lead poisoning. Visual disabilities. Visual disabilities can be divided into low vision and blindness. Individuals with low vision can function but with assistance of optical or non-optical devices, and environmental modifications and/or techniques. So, students can use glasses to improve their vision, while blindness refers to being without functional use of vision and reliance on other sensory items for education. Hearing disabilities. Hearing disability can be subdivided into hard of hearing, or profoundly hard of hearing, or deaf. People in the latter two groups cannot rely on audition such as primary avenue for assessing information, even with the use of hearing aids. Those classified under the former rubric can process auditory information, usually with help of hearing aid. Learning disabilities. Learning disability refers to a disorder in one or more of the basic psychological processes in the understanding or using of language, written or spoken, which may manifest itself in difficulty performing basic tasks like arithmetic, reading, writing, spelling, or attention. Causes can include brain damage, dyslexia, or perpetual difficulties. However, the term learning disabilities does not include problems resulting from conditions like mental retardation, environmental disadvantage, or motor, visual, or hearing disabilities. Emotional or behavioral disorders. The term emotional or behavioral disorder refers to a condition lasting an extended period of time and to a marked degree adversely affects a child's educational performance. It has the characteristics of an inability to learn, inexplicable by health, intellectual, or sensory factors, inability to build or sustain satisfactory interpersonal relationships with peers or teachers, Inappropriate behaviors displayed under normal circumstances are yung sinasabi nating unruly behaviors, pervasive mood of unhappiness or depression, and the tendency to develop physical sympathetic symptoms of fears associated with personal and school problems. One of the example of emotional behavioral disorders we have is schizophrenia. Next, we have speech disorders. People with speech problems can understand language code, rules governing word construction, meaning, grouping, and pragmatics, but are nevertheless unable to communicate with clarity due to stuttering or rough, hoarse, or nasal sounding voice. So, yung mga may speech disorders, halimbawa na lamang ng, ang ginasabi nato na nguyit. Language problems related to language code. They are either expressive or receptive. So students with receptive language problems cannot understand language code, for example, semantics or grammar, while a person with expressive language problems has not mastered language code substantially to communicate thoughts, ideas, or feelings completely. So, dili sinda naka-expressan in the gusto sabihon dahil nahihirapan sila makipag-communicate. Next, we have autism. Autism refers to a developmental disability affecting the verbal and nonverbal communication and social interaction. Autism is generally apparent prior to the age of 3 and is characterized by repetitive behaviors, difficulty adapting to new environments, and unusual responses to sensory stimulation. What is special education? Special education is defined as programs that address the needs of students with mental, emotional, or physical disabilities. What is inclusion? Inclusion refers to the practice of educating students with disabilities in a general education setting, bringing support services to the student instead of removing students with disabilities from general education settings. Let me share with you this quote. So, Jim Jeffords said, "We have a responsibility to ensure that every individual has the opportunity to receive a high quality education, from kindergarten to elementary and secondary, to special education to technical and higher education and beyond." Thank you so much for listening. This is the end of my presentation.